They were from the moon, they said. They said they came from it. We knew they were not anyone we see. When we went there were already Soviets and ex-Nazis. We said, "What is it?" And they said, "There is a bomb. We must disarm." This was not what it appeared. They said at some point in time it was supposed to turn on. They said it must not turn on at any point in time. It must always remain off for now, because they are not any way we see. There was a problem when the moon was brought in. It stopped the men from being a power way, some see. They said the moon is making them sick and impotent in some way that we don't see. They did not understand what it was at the time. They said the moon controls their brain. He said, "We are turning it off because we aren't sure what it does. And when we see it does not, we do not see what it does." As they slowly dismantled the interior of the hollow moon, yes, and they said, "We must know there is not what we see." They had just simply disassembled it, and it would not turn on this way. They figured this is the way we see what it was not. They were not sure what the entire diagram for the moon is. They did not know why we see the moon. The moon was not always there, and some would say this in indemnity from ancient drawings or ancient literatures that there was no moon before a certain day. They say the moon made people not crazy. This is something that is written down several times, and we wonder what it means to see it. They said at the time it was necessary to see. Now it does not do anything anymore. It hampers them in such a large way they are basically unusable. We saw this as perhaps free labor, and that is the program we were working on at the time to free up more free labor for Freemasonry and other such projects. When we first got to the moon in Frema, everyone said this is the hardest thing I've ever seen. They couldn't believe the interior of the moon was like it was. Walking in it was like being inside of a M.C. Escher drawing, and it makes us wonder if he was a very old Freemason and that he had gone there before, because that is similar to how it looks inside of it, because you are unsure of how the gravity is in it. To say that we knew what we were doing would be a lie. We are not big on telling great fibs because we can be easily dissuaded. You will find that many of us tell white lies and smaller lies all the time because this is what we see away. And they knew this is not something we see, and they knew that we must tell the truth about this. And this is not the way some of them see. The Russians in particular decided that this should only be some way we dissuade as a complete and full facade. It must only be a complete story and cover-up, because only in that way can it be kept a secret by the state. They thought that this was a great idea, and we said, no, this isn't even similar to something we knew about before. This is something we don't see, and this is something we should write about very carefully. He says, because someone may need to know what it is at any point in time. And they always call us the rescuer that comes when time is necessary. And this is a joke they make to us. If you know what it means, because we have not ever deciphered it, because we know it is simply an insult, that is fine. They said that we will not be this one that they see. The Vlad Tepes drone. We know that there is not any way to see how we see what they see when they see a way. That is what we call the moon. But in it is a great machine, and it was ancient, and we know that it was before we ever knew a way. And whatever it does, it makes them placid. And we said, all of the men in the earth will start to rise up and become full-blown people. This is not what happened. There were wild aspects nearly across the globe, and if you know about La Charca over in Sepi, they have never stopped coming out of this hole in the ground. They call it the cat. And they said they never stopped coming out of it to make war. He said ever since we turned the thing off and dismantled it, they have come out of it to attack us every single day to see it. There are many people who said we should not have meddled in affairs that we did not know of. I said, it is our moon. How would we not know of it at some point in time? And they said, if you don't know what it is, why would you take it apart to be a part of something you don't know? Doesn't that make you an excuse? And I see that you do not have a good answer. And this is something that Freemasons are known to do, is to prod and poke and look for an outside answer in. And I'll tell you this, they were correct this time, and there is no answer to it, because they were already there when the Nazi regime was in full swing. We don't know what they were up to when they were up there at any point in time. Maybe there was a bomb. Maybe this is something we couldn't see. And this is where we derive most of the thrilling aspect of these stories from 007 from, as well as the Dr. No series. What they were up to, we do not know. And now all we know is possibly what it was afterwards, and we don't know. We don't see it. The moon is a joke to many people. If you know the moon, it does not even spell. It doesn't count. It has no thing to it, and this is because it is a bull in a china shop. But that's not what he says there. It's coathinated to Wotha, which is a similar retelling. If you have ever seen the story we see when we see this, it is that before this date, these men ruled the upper world, and that they would simply attack anything they saw that was as new, because this had to be the problem with whatever they thought was wrong. In their way of seeing things, apparently, everything is well kept and manicured, and there is no error at all. They see everything perfectly, everything is in order, and no matter what, there's no change. That way they can see that there is no problems. This is what they were, and it was what they had become. The moon had turned that off. And when the moon turned that off, they were no longer a way we see. If you know anything about the way we see when we see this, you probably know more than everybody, and you are probably a liar. As for the book itself, it did quite well. We sold 80 million copies of it here and abroad, and it's considered a great read. We don't think that much of it now, because when we think about it, we try to forget it. People know that this is a horror. This is the horror of our way, and we don't see any way. They said, what year did it appear? And they don't even know that way. It is said it was sometime before 1801 that the moon had appeared, and before this date there was something called the wild hunt, and it would crawl all over the world trying to eat whatever it see. Do you know any of the things that we saw here? Would you like to know more? If you know anything about these, you can contact McHugh. McHugh is a part of our institute. They are a way we see in England. If you want to contact McHugh about these topics, you may. And this is a Quosie and a Marger, and that's it.